Let's start with the Cavaliers, guys. They are officially up 2-0 over the Toronto Raptors. They led end-to-end yesterday, G. Bush. They never trailed in the game. They had 83 combined points from James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley. The rest of the team, they decided maybe we'll show up offensively, maybe not. Last night was a no. Dean Wade played some terrific defense on Brandon Ingram. So let's unpack it all, but start with the big three. 83 points between Evan, James, and Donovan. Gee, you haven't been that high on Evan. You said he needed to prove it to you in the playoffs. Was last night's 25-point performance from Evan enough for you to officially buy back in on the Cavs' young star?
Listen, I'm going to give you your flowers. I told Jason when he walked in, I'm going to give him his flowers, but it's limited flowers. He's not getting the bouquet with the chocolates and all the other, the nice, tray and cheese basket, you know what I'm saying?
No charcuterie. Just the flowers.
You're going to get the flowers and they're going to be wrapped in like a wet, moist towelette. Not no vase or nothing. But I will give it, listen, here's what happens when Evan Mobley plays like this. You look around, and the others didn't have particularly a great shooting night. They didn't particularly rebound the basketball all that well. I thought that even when you look on the other side of the court, you still had Scotty Barnes play very well. R.J. Barrett has been, I would say either their first or second best player in the series so far. He played well, but it doesn't matter. You look up, and it never seemed like the Raptors had enough to even close the gap with them because Evan Mobley was aggressive. Evan Mobley was a guy that was not taking no for an answer, and you see what happens when he gets aggressive because now if he does hit that corner three like you just saw he did, that 3-point shot almost feels like rocket jock b-ball. Now it's like we know it's 3 points, but in your mind it feels like 25 because when he's aggressive inside, him and Jared Allen have been. It puts you in a position where now if he hits that shot as a defender, you're like, man, if he hitting that, we might as well chalk it up. If he's gonna hit that, it's gonna be a long night. So I love what Evan Mobley did right there, and I saw the aggressive James Harden. I love the aggressive James Harden, 25 points, and then Donovan Mitchell. Come on, guys, let's just be clear. Donovan Mitchell is a bad man. I still sometimes feel like even though we talk about it often, sometimes I feel like even in a city like this, somehow he's still underrated. I just don't like some of the shots he pulls off. Just the dagger threes, the step back, the carryover move has more variations to it now. It's just
like a pass off that yesterday.
He had a dime off of it. I said, "Yo, what did you?" And his bag just seems to increase. This right here is what I envision with the Cavs. If this continues to happen, the Raptors have no shot. Game 3 will be the toughest, but Jason, Evan Mobley, if he won't play like this, people are going to start buying more stock.
Yeah, I wrote last night that I think the highest compliment you can give the Cavs right now is that this went exactly how we thought it was going to go. This series, the first 2 games. I mean, you look at Detroit and Orlando, and the Pistons are in an 0-1 hole. Now, it doesn't mean they can't come back and win the series, but certainly that didn't start off the way they wanted. Last night, C.J. McCollum absolutely cooked the Knicks. And now the Hawks are tied 1-1 in that series, and the Knicks have lost home court advantage. So those are, 2 seeds higher than the Cavs, and both of those teams are already sort of feeling it a little bit, the playoff pressure of having their backs against the wall fairly early on in this. And the Cavs, this has gone exactly how Mike and I thought that it would in terms of the Cavs just have too much top-end talent. The Raptors can't shoot it. Brandon Ingram was horrendous last night. Man. And we'll get into that. Dean Wade had a lot to do with that. But just in terms of Evan, the way that this is set up now, for a long time, I advocated you got to put the ball in his hands. You got to try and play through him. You got to try and initiate. And the reason I kept saying that was, I did believe that he could do it. But more importantly, I just thought it was the Cavs' best path to winning the championship because you've seen how far a Donovan-led team can take you. And the way that previous team was constructed, you had to see if Evan had more to give you. It didn't work. They make the trade for James, and now you can put Evan back where he's comfortable. Just let him live in the paint and let him attack the rim on lobs, on pick and rolls, and you saw the results of that. He made his first 6 shots in the first half. I think 11 of his 13 shots last night were in the paint, stepped into a 3 and made, maybe it was 10 of 13, regardless. Stepped into a 3, made a 3. So now he's in a role where he's back to being comfortable. Is he going to be the unicorn ball handler that I thought that he could be. Certainly he's not going to be this year, but you can't worry about that right now. You're trying to win a championship, and the best role for him on a championship team is doing what he did last night. And if he continues to play like that and attack like that and have the type of success, the Raptors went small last night. Jakob Poeltl didn't play in the second half at all, and Mobley's just going to tear that up. And Toronto may feel like that's their best path to survive in this series, but there's nobody who can match Mobley one-on-one when they go small like that. No. And I just think this. I didn't think it was a sweep. I still don't think it's going to be a sweep. Everybody knows role players better play better at home. All the cliches still apply. So I do think Toronto gets one of these at home, but this series has gone chalk as far as I'm concerned. It's gone exactly how we thought it was going to go.
The fact that the Cavs have two different options, two viable, legitimate options late in shot clock when Toronto disrupts their offensive flow, and Donovan and James to bail them out of bad offensive sets has been the entire difference in this series. If you look at some of the shots that Donovan and James made last night, both on different occasions, end of shot clock, were able to go ISO, able to beat their man. You'll see it happen about 7 different times in this little highlight package we put together, and able to generate good looks late in the shot clock to bail them out when Toronto did win the overall defensive possession. I thought Toronto made some good defensive adjustments in Game 2 compared to Game 1. They tried to trap higher, get the ball out of James and Donovan's hands, make other people beat them, and frankly, no one else really did. Merrill didn't make a three, or he made 1 3, but didn't shoot well from 3. Keon Ellis was an 0 from beyond the arc. Max Strus didn't have the same game in Game 2 as he did in Game 1. Dean Wade made a 3, but passed up a couple open looks. Outside of the 3 that scored the 83 points, Mitchell, Harden, and Mobley, no one else really showed up offensively. But guess what? You didn't need anyone else to show up offensively because those two individually were so good, and they draw so much attention that it allows Evan to be the perfect complementary piece. Down the road, Jason, you're right. Maybe he will, maybe he won't turn into the superstar that we thought he had the potential to become. But they don't need him to do that on this particular iteration of the Cavs because of the gravity that the two guards play with and because of the control they each have in this offense. Just when you watch late in shot clocks, there's so many guys, and I'll give you an analogy in a second on Toronto, who if they have the ball with 4 or 5 seconds left, you can almost chuck it up to saying, this won't be a quality look, right? It won't be.
Yep.
With Donovan and James, even if it's not a quality look, those are 2 of the 7, 8, 9 best difficult shot, late shot makers in the entire NBA. And this series, I think, comes down to this. You guys have seen Anchorman, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Great movie. And have you seen Anchorman?
Yeah.
All-time good.
Yeah.
You know the fight scene in Anchorman when all the different news stations show up to the fight?
How do you get a grenade?
Right? This feels like Toronto, and last night, invited Cleveland to a backyard brawl like that, right? They invited Cleveland to come out to the fight. Except Toronto showed up with a pair of brass knuckles and a knife, and the Cavaliers showed up with an AK and a bazooka. And the bazooka and the AK are Donovan and James, and the Raptors are trying to fight those two off with a piece of brass knuckles and Scotty Barnes and a butter knife and Brandon.
I feel like, Anthony, respect this, man. I feel like in the same vein, it's like going up to a card duel and you going against Yu-Gi-Oh! His deck just better than yours. His grandfather gave him one of the craziest decks of all time. And then he pulls the Dark Magician up out of nowhere. Dark Magician just comes out of nowhere. It's like, I get special turns that you didn't know about. They just don't have the cards in their deck right now.
There's no blue-eye white dragon.
There's no blue eyes. They don't got no
Great reference.
You like
you
that?
guys got to get better at playing cards, though. Believe in your cards.
Oh, to believe in the heart of the cards? Hey, listen, Scotty Barnes believes, but I don't think nobody else believes right now.
I have no idea what you're going to do.
Well, I'll tell you.
It's okay, Jason. Just let it go.
Coming into the series, Brandon Ingram believed he was a card, but Dean Wade has zapped any ounce of offensive efficiency out of that man. Ant had told me after Game 1, before last night's Game 2, he's like, what if the Cavs, instead of trading for DeAndre Hunter, traded for Brandon Ingram? I was like,
might have been my worst take.
You may not want to say that out loud, because what Dean Wade did on Brandon Ingram defensively in Game 2 was nothing short of stellar. It was so good that there's not really highlights that showcase it.
Are we gonna? Is this a make or miss? Are we gonna give Dean credit? Now he contested, but it's a make or miss league. Like
it is.
Some of them. Do you believe that Dean? What did Dean do to cause the misses rather than on the opposite end of the spectrum, him just having a bad shooting night?
Ingram did miss a couple shots that he usually makes. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. I am not trying to say that if he shoots those 15 shots again, he's only going to make 3 of them. That's not going to happen. But over the course of 48 minutes, Dean Wade's constant pressure, the fact that he's just as big as B.I., most of the time when Brandon Ingram's shooting these mid-range shots over people, it's over a 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" defender. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Jason, you can back me up on this. If you shaved his head, Dean Wade, and shaved Jared Allen's head, they're the same height back-to-back. Dean Wade might even be a little bit taller. So you have a legitimate size to put on Brandon Ingram. He's physical. He's tenacious. He's always just kind of up in and right around him, not giving him space to breathe. As you watch, look at this possession right here. Doesn't bind the pump fake, doesn't bind the reverse pivot. He's just forcing him to shoot over the outstretched hand. And after a few possessions like that,
I like this.
It just gets in your head to, this guy's the one who's going to hound me for 94 feet. I got to deal with him. Donovan Mitchell ended his press conference yesterday, unprompted, with, hey, I know myself, I know James, I know Evan, we're going to get most of the storylines because we scored 83 points last night. You got to give Dean Wade his credit. And through 2 games, Dean Wade is a team best, a series best plus 34. And according to NBA.com tracking data, he's held Ingram to just 1 of 6 shooting over 2 games for 2 total points as the primary defender. You can't ask for much better than that through 2 games.
You know what's funny about this is I said, when we were talking before the series, I said they're going to start with Dean, but he's got to make shots to stay on the floor. Well, he's not really making a ton of shots, and he's still staying on the floor. And I think some of that is the opponent. Mm-hmm. Toronto just doesn't have the guns.
It's a big part of it.
Yeah.
It is worth mentioning.
Yeah, and part of it also is replacing Darius with James is so good up top with James and Donovan and Evan in this role that they're kind of getting away with it right now. I don't know that they're going to get away with this going forward.
Yeah.
But right now they're getting away with the fact that he's not making shots and he's still having a really big impact.
I'll tell you this. He only made 1 3 yesterday, right? He had 3 points. Brandon Ingram had 7.
Yeah.
If they could have the Dean Wade, Brandon Ingram trading score up to be 7-3 and only be a 4-point differential, that is a gigantic win.
I mean, in that montage, that is perfect defense. Like the one where he catches the ball at the nail and he bodies him up, he closes the space, he gets physical with him. And now, instead of most people would right here, look right there, and then watch the contest, and he doesn't land in his landing space. He doesn't get him on the elbow. The contest is right between in the middle, and it just makes it a tough shot. And if he can continue to do that, Jason is right. They're going to get away with stealing minutes that he's on the floor, because every minute that he's able to be on the floor and be that kind of defensive presence, and he doesn't score. He's stealing minutes.
He's their best defender. He's a legitimate 6'9". He gives them legitimate size on the wing. And if he can play defense like he has in the first 2 games of this series, he's going to be a monumental factor on who they play in the second round, whether it's guarding Cade Cunningham or Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner. And hopefully in round 3 and round 4 when they get either Boston or New York and those bigger wings, and then whoever comes out of the West.